Hey Canucks fans, good news. Jacob Markstrom is fully recovered from his knee injury. Bad news is there are no games for him to play. I'm Clay Emo. I'm at Canuck Clay on Twitter. I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm the founder of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club. This is my Canucks take, all in one take. It's Clay's Canucks commentary for Friday, March the 20th. Thanks to all of you. Join me for my live stream last night at 10 o'clock here on YouTube. Smaller crowd than usual, but that's okay. Usually the midweek ones are usually a bit smaller than the weekend ones. But we had a great time. Jacob rejoined us after a few weeks away, and he was on fire. He was funny. He was charming, or so he thinks. And we rapped. We did a bit of dancing. We told jokes. We had a great time. So I invite you to check out my the replay of that on my channel if you have time. Covered a lot of ground, obviously. Canucks, injuries, signings, COVID, and some other fun stuff as well. So please check it out if you have time. All right, today, Jim Benning was on Sportsnet 650, and he reported good news that Jacob Markstrom is fully recovered from his minor knee surgery or procedure. They never, whatever it was. But yeah, that he's good to go, and that's good. It's ahead of the time frame that a lot of people initially feared, and it would be great if the Canucks in the NHL were playing right now. You might remember he got hurt in the 9-3 Boston win on February 22nd. That was a Saturday. Then and it was his knee. It wasn't the stick in the eye, which seemed scarier. And then on the 24th, the Monday, was trade deadline, and the Canucks shocked the world by trading for goaltender Louis Domingue. Saying, well, that was kind of weird. And then we found out later that's because Jim Benning said that Jacob Markstrom was hurt, and that he was going to get an MRI done on his knee while the team was in Montreal. So sure enough, Demko starts that game in Montreal on the 24th, 25th, I should say, and then the 26th, the next day, we find out that indeed Jacob Markstrom will be out. They made an announcement. They said he had a minor surgery done, and he'd be reevaluated in 2 weeks, or they come out with the statement in 2 weeks. Of course, when 2 weeks happened, that was when the NHL was shutting down, and now we're looking at the Friday of the third week. So really, he was only out from tip to tip from the 22nd to today, which is actually the 20th. So just under a month, so just under 4 weeks, and then the announcement would have been after the 2 week period that if they were going to be honest, not that they wouldn't be honest, but they basically would have said, he looks like he's practicing and he's going to be ready to play. So really, from February 22nd to March 20th, that's not bad at all. I think a lot of people thought it was going to be a lot worse. And the only benefit that was going to come from that, and benefits maybe a wrong word to use, was that we were going to get a good look at Thatcher Demko. And then we were going to have a sense of what we should do with Jacob Markstrom's contract, given Thatcher Demko's play. How much confidence do we have, or non-confidence do we have in Demko, so on and so forth. And I would say that the jury is still out. In Markstrom's absence, Demko played 7 games, and he went 3-4 in those games. 2 of the wins were extra time, right? The overtime win in Montreal, and the shootout win, the last one, over the Islanders, that very exciting game. And there's another win in there, but there was also 4 losses in there when they had that tough road trip in the East, when it was Ottawa and teams like Toronto, where Demko didn't play that well. So you guys know I like Thatcher Demko a lot, but I wouldn't say he set the world on fire, but he played okay as well. He didn't play poorly, especially in the latter part of these 7 games. The last 2, 3, 4 games even, his numbers started to go up. He started to make better saves, bigger saves. And yes, he made a lot of big saves in the last win against the Islanders, the last game the Canucks played before the league got shut down. So what do we have in Demko? I think we basically have what we thought we have. We have a guy who's got a lot of potential, but a guy who needs more experience. And, if the NHL was playing, if the Canucks were playing, you'd think that Markstrom would get the lion's share of the games heading into the playoffs, given that the Canucks were battling for a playoff spot, and that he will get almost all the games in the playoffs, barring some unforeseen circumstance. So then you get to the summer, and now it's time to renegotiate Jacob Markstrom's contract. This will be bumped a bit later, of course, because of depending on what the NHL does. So did his time away, did it increase or decrease his value? Well, I definitely don't think it decreased it. If anything, it stayed at the same, or it increased it, just because the Canucks just simply weren't as good with Demko in the net. And I'm not saying it's Demko's fault. The Canucks, we know a lot about their defensive problems, but I think it really proved, especially in the first part of that streak, that Jacob Markstrom is the Canucks MVP and an integral part of the team. So some would say sign him at all costs, even ahead of Tyler Toffoli. But I know there are others out there saying, not lowball him, but play hardball. give him an offer that's not the best ever, and if he walks, he walks, and then that kind of saves your saves a bit of salary cap problem, and then that's basically a vote of confidence for Thatcher Demko. You bring in another backup, whether it's Domingue or someone else, to support him for a couple of years until Michael DiPietro is ready to come up and battle Thatcher Demko for that spot. But then really you're saying it's Thatcher Demko's team. I think that's a little too optimistic. I'm not convinced of I like Demko a lot, like I've been saying, but I would still spend the money on Jacob Markstrom because he's shown how valuable he is to the team. Then you have the Seattle expansion draft to think about in June 2021. And it came up on my live stream yesterday is who are the Canucks going to protect or who are they going to lose. And you think, depending on Jacob Markstrom's new contract, maybe Jacob Markstrom can't be exposed and you don't want to expose him. You have to protect him. So then you leave Thatcher Demko exposed. You can only keep one good goalie. You know what I mean by good, a certain amount of experience. But I would argue that there might be 3 or 4 other goalies on the market, on the expansion draft market, that Seattle might look at ahead of Demko, depending on who it is. They might want to get 1 solid veteran, then 2 up-and-comers. So would you say Demko's one of the 2 best up-and-coming goalies in the league that wouldn't be protected? It's very hard to say because we're kind of projecting a year and 3 months out from now. But then also the other part of that, is there anyone else on the Canucks roster that Seattle would want that Vancouver leaves unprotected? So that's something to keep in mind. So it's kind of fascinating. Demko, he went 13-10-2 this season, so he's above 500 when it comes to wins and losses. He went 3-4 in Markstrom's absence when the games really mattered, and I think he held himself well. He counted for himself well. But I don't think he moved the needle much in terms of his worth. But I think he moved the needle a bit more for Jacob Markstrom's worth. In that, I think the Canucks should do everything that they can to sign him. But like I said, not everyone shares that opinion. Some people are saying play tough with him, negotiate tough with him, and then see what happens from there. Well, I think it would behoove the Canucks to do that anyways. But it depends what your definition on tough. You don't want to disrespect the man. It depends how badly you want him vis-a-vis UFAs, Chris Tanev, Tara Toffoli, RFAs, Troy Stetcher, Jake Virtanen. So there's a lot to think about, but I just want to report good news that Jacob Markstrom is healthy, would be able to play. The Canucks are playing right now, so that bodes well for when and if the NHL season resumes play. Obviously, if that's in April or May, that would mean a time for Jacob Markstrom to be ready anyway. So if it's a May-June start, Jacob Markstrom will be ready, just like a lot of other teams of other players that have healed up. But Jacob Markstrom, arguably the Canucks MVP this season, and the one guy that they needed to be healthy for this stretch run, whatever the stretch run may look like ultimately. So there you go, Canucks fans. Some stuff to chew on there. Would love to know your thoughts about Markstrom, about Demko. What do you think of Demko's play in Markstrom's absence? Do you agree with me that Demko, his value, his stock didn't really move because he kind of did what we thought he would do? Gave the Canucks decent goaltending, but it wasn't stellar. Do you agree with me that it actually moved Jacob Markstrom's value up? And ultimately, what do you think is the big picture is, what do you think is going to happen with Jacob Markstrom and his new contract? Is he looking at $5.5, $6 million over 5 years, 4 years, 6 years? We can talk money, we can talk term. I just want to be talking some Canucks. So leave a comment below. Again, Markstrom, Demko, Canucks goaltending situation, given the news that Markstrom is healthy and ready to go now. Leave a comment. I love to read, react, and reply. Subscribe if you like to, like this video if you like to. Enjoy the day. God bless. Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Go Canucks, go.